Lufasu isolates Dena, telling her to drop the act, and she asks Dena what her true identity is. Dena confirms that she had been lying about being her advisor, and Lufasu adds that Dena is also not someone from her kingdom, since Libra would have Dena stored inside her memory. Dena also confirms this, and says that she's simply a girl who knew that there was an NPC in Lufasu's tower with the advisor background setting, and simply put it to good use. Lufasu comes to the realization that Dena is actually a player. Lufasu asked Dena if she had used her memory manipulation skill on Ares and Ego Karos, and Dena confirms this as well, stating that she used her skill on Ares when they first met, and on Ego Karos when he was at the demon castle. Lufasu then asks how Libra was not able to recognize her, and Dena answers that it was because golems don't have brains, so memory manipulation would not work on them. Lufasu realizes that's why the golems back at her tomb were unable to recognize Dena. Dena tells Lufasu that she was really surprised that Lufasu was also a player, and she tells her that she's actually a test player who was hired by the administrators to test out the new half-elf race that was going to be added to the game. Lufasu then asks Dena what she means when she said that she had met Ego Karos at the demon castle. Dena's hair color suddenly starts to turn gold, and she tells Lufasu that she has the ability to travel to the demon castle whenever she likes. Dena tells Lufasu that she was planning on continuing her advisor act for a bit longer so that Lufasu and the demons can destroy each other. However, that plan seems to have failed, so she's going to change to her plan B, which is to defeat Lufasu and turn her into her pawn. Lufasu, however, is not convinced that a level 300 like Dena can defeat her. Dena calls Lufasu an idiot and says that her stats are fake, created by her status concealment skill that was going to be introduced in the update. She then reveals her actual stats, which turned out to be level 1000. Dena changes her appearance and introduces herself as Venus of the Gold and one of the 7 luminaries. Dena leaps into the air and fires a volley of rocks at Lufasu. However, Lufasu intercepts the attack by summoning a bunch of swords, but Dena simply smiles and blocks the attack with a portal. She tells Lufasu that she'll return her attack and redirects all the swords at Lufasu. Lufasu dodges the attack and charges at Dena. However, Dena simply teleports away and uses her ability Oxo, which summons powerful raindrops and causing roots to sprout from the ground. The roots start to chase down Lufasu. However, Lufasu simply destroys all of them with a single kick. She charges at Dena again, to which Dena responds to by teleporting away again. However, this time Lufasu was able to predict her movement, and she takes a swing at Dena, which Dena just barely manages to dodge. Dena strikes Lufasu in the face. However, Lufasu was unimpressed by the attack, and she tells Dena that although they're both level 1000, Dena was a rear guard mage type, so a physical attack from her won't even reduce 1% of Lufasu's HP. Lufasu then retaliates with her skill Blade Bash, sending Dena back and toppling to the ground. Lufasu tells Dena to give up, since she has no chance of winning. Lufasu explains how one of the 7 heroes, Merak, was also a rear guard mage like Dena. However, Merak took many countermeasures for any fights against vanguards, which Dena did not have any of. Lufasu concludes that Dena must be a test player who doesn't actually play the game itself. Dena asks Lufasu if she's going to forgive her, and Lufasu mentions how Dena had previously helped her on numerous occasions, and that it was her own fault to be deceived by Dena. Lufasu tells Dena that she doesn't resent her, and asks for the reason why Dena wanted Lufasu and the demons to destroy each other. Dena, however, is furious, and uses her attack Dawn Star, which summons a giant meteor in the sky. Dena hops into a portal, gloating as she asks Lufasu what she'll do, since the 12 stars would most likely be fine from the attack, but the citizens in the kingdom and Merak won't be. Lufasu accepts Dena's challenge and prepares to intercept the meteor. She uses her skill Iron Fist and strikes the meteor, shattering it to pieces. Dena drops to her knees in defeat, bewildered at what just happened. Lufasu asks Dena if she still wanted to continue, and Dena admits defeat. Lufasu asks Dena if she can tell her everything now. Dena tells Lufasu that she arrived as a test player right after Lufasu was sealed. She explained how numerous players who weren't written in the novelization began to disappear and leaving no traces, as if they had never existed. Because of that, Dena came to the conclusion that the world is actually the novelized version of the game. Lufasu recaps what the novel system is, and explains that it's a system where players' actions in the game can become a novel and be incorporated into the game's actual story. Lufasu does not like the idea of the world being based on the novel version, since there were not a lot of players who had been novelized. Dena explains how the people she met were the only friends she had in this world, but says how they all eventually perished. Dena explains how she loathed the demons for taking away everything she had, but no matter how many demons she killed, she didn't stand a chance against the Demon King. Dena decided the best she could do was infiltrate the 7 luminaries and try her best to slow down the demon's invasion. Her plan was to get Lufasu to fight the Demon King, hoping that she could potentially defeat him. Dena begins to recount to Lufasu about how she tricked Jupiter. However, Lufasu has a strange feeling inside her, as if something about Dena's story wasn't adding up. Lufasu overlooks this and asks Dena if she's her enemy. Dena answers no, however she did try to use her, which is basically the same as having hostile intentions. However, Lufasu tells Dena to continue serving her, confusing Dena. Dena stutters and asks Lufasu if it's really alright, and Lufasu says that she still hasn't repaid Dena's favor for helping her countless times. Lufasu adds that the concept of having an advisor scheming behind her back sounds pretty interesting to her, and that it's also useful to have a dangerous subordinate on her side. Dena asks Lufasu if she's really a player and not the real Lufasu who received the player's memories, and Lufasu laughs it off, saying that there were numerous times where their memories were mixing up, so she's not even sure about it anymore. Lufasu tells Dena that she had finally met someone from her original world, so she can overlook what she has done to some extent. Lufasu concludes that since Merak and Merak were both not players, then it's very likely that the last of the 7 hero who's alive, Bennett Nash, isn't a player either, which means that her and Dena would be the only irregulars in this world. She extends her hand out to Dena and tells her to come with her and to use her strength to serve her. Dena transforms back to her original appearance and accepts Lufasu's proposition to be her advisor until the day the Demon King is defeated. Dena kneels down and officially joins Lufasu's party. The scene shifts over to the castle in the country of Jallarhorn, where the White Skywings are pleading with Merak. They tell him that even though they had been deceived by the demons, it was only because they wanted the country to be better, and that Merak didn't even listen to their pleas. Merak told them that he didn't give them permission to speak, as he unleashes his intimidation skill and began to discipline the Skywings. Merak thinks to himself that he doesn't like acting like this, however it's his duty as a king so that his subordinates won't look down on him. He smiles and tells Lufasu that he'll get over all of his problems. Meanwhile, Lufasu, who's sitting inside her van, senses Merak's intimidation and smiles. Lufasu turns over to Ego Karos and asks him if he has any useful information from working with the demon folk. Ego Karos says that he's heard news that the kingdom of Levitine has begun to move. Lufasu didn't know what that place was, and Dena explains that it's a kingdom that was founded by the Sword King Aliath, one of the 7 heroes, and it's also the kingdom where Lufasu was first summoned. Ego Karos adds that it seems like Levitine has finally succeeded in summoning a hero. The scene cuts over to the throne room in Levitine, where the elf mage that had summoned Lufasu is crying tears of joy, as he had finally summoned a hero. A high school boy sat in the center of the throne room, confused on where he is.